Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Comp 3077 Online. We are now into week 5. This case will not contain quite as many concepts as you will find on the test that were present in the other cases. There will still be a few things, but it's also still an important case because it demonstrates integration with other applications, using pictures, using word art, a lot of stuff that you've probably used in other Microsoft apps. And this is a really good case to kind of wrap up things before we have the test in week 6, just because it reminds you that there are a lot of things that you're doing in other Microsoft apps that you can also do in Excel. So big reminder, we do have your test coming up in week 6. So whenever that may be in the semester that you're in, I'm not going to name any dates because these videos are going to be used for a while, but it should be taking place in week 6. If you're in an online section, your professor, be it she or he, whoever it may be, will be administering the test with a specific schedule. They will be emailing you about that at the very beginning of the week or the week before, letting you know what your options are. Sometimes you may have like a morning and evening option. They might break you into groups. When you're in an online section, you have to take it the way the professors are administering it. That's a weird looking typo right there. I just managed to only make the K lowercase in the word week. That was weird, which leads me to my next point, but I just want to finish up talking about the test first, because a lot of people that watch these videos are also in face-to-face sections, and that's totally fine. I just want to remind all of you, you must take your test in class, in the lab. I know some of you have missed the occasional class, and you may be doing some of this work at home. If you're in a face-to-face section, you must take the class in your scheduled lab. You should be in lecture as well, so you can be set up. That might be where your professor is taking attendance for the test. So the week when you have the test, which is in week 6, you need to be there. So your scheduling is really easy. Whatever day you have class, you have the test that day in week 6. If you happen to have a holiday that week, your professor will advise you as to how that will be resolved. So get ready for that. It's going to be worth 20% of your mark. There's going to be a video on the test, a test prep video as well. So that'll be coming up after this one. And the best way you can prepare is just by reviewing the case steps. And anytime you see something you can't remember where it is, you're going to go and find it. Remember, half the battle with learning this application and learning to do it well is knowing where the stuff is and that you can even do it. A lot of the tasks and steps we do in this course are not difficult. It's just knowing where to go to do it and knowing you can even get it done. You are going into a test week. Next week is the test. We're doing the week 5 case this week. We don't have a lot of typing in this one, but I did notice in the week 4 case, despite my advising many times throughout that case to copy and paste the chart titles, a lot of students just chose to type them anyway, and there was a lot of typos. So here's an idea that I don't remind students of past weeks 1 or 2, but check your spelling. Use spell check. You learn how to do it very early in the course. It's the same as it is in most Microsoft apps. Use spell check. Why am I bringing this up right as I'm talking about the test? Because the test will only allow you 1 submission. And I would hate to see students getting things incorrect because of typos. Those are the most annoying steps to get incorrect. So let's move on to the week 5 case. This case does have a Mac and a PC version. There is a small section of the case that I will not be able to demo in this video until I get my hands on a Mac, which several people in the office have one, and some of my colleagues do. I'm going to try and incorporate that into the video. I may or may not have that in there as you're watching this video. You'll get 95% of the presentation of all the steps. But if you're on a Mac, some of the steps might be slightly different. And when you go to download the case, Sam will actually auto-detect what operating system you're using and give you the proper file to download. Because when you're dealing with integrating other applications like Microsoft Access, we don't even have that on a Mac. So it is going to be slightly different. Some of the ways the menu items operate in this case are very subtly different on a Mac, but for the most part, it's almost the same, save for a couple steps. So that's what we're going to be doing, is integrating other apps. We're going to be inserting pictures, stuff like that. Always be saving, always be closing. Good things to remember before you get into your test as well. And let's get started on the case. So I already have the instructions up. This will be the first case where we have more than one file in addition to the instructions. Typically, it's just the instructions and then the start file, which of course you rename by changing that little 1 to a 2. Once you do that, download and then open it, you're also going to download all of these. If you download these and insert them with incorrect names, Sam will very likely mark you wrong. Not very likely, Sam will mark you wrong. A lot of the grading in this case, because you're integrating things from other applications, will have a connection to that app, or it will have a connection to that link. Here we're integrating stuff from a PowerPoint file. We're not even using Access, actually. Access definitely still exists. It's Microsoft's database software application. I think you can do a lot of stuff that you can do in Access in Excel anyway. But if you were in logistics, I'm sure you'd be learning Access and similar types of applications. Either way, we're integrating stuff from these apps right here. I only brought up Access at the beginning because it is interesting that it's not available on a Mac, but it is on a PC still. It is a great application, but either way, it's not on a Mac, and we're not dealing with it in this course. So you will have a variety of files to download. As I was saying, do not change the names. A lot of you are in the habit of downloading something, not remembering where you downloaded it, and then downloading it again in the same folder, and then it might do something like this. It will add like a little 1 at the end in a set of what we call parentheses, as you know. Canadians call them brackets, or it'll say copy of here. In front of it, it'll add something to it, and then when you link to it, the file name won't be correct. So get these files into the folder where you're going to have them and where you're going to access them, and don't download them again. I want to make that very clear. This is a case where you have multiple files. So let's get them all downloaded, then we'll start on step 1. Over to Sam in this window. I already have all this loaded up. I don't think I need to be at the point in this course in week 5 where I keep logging into Sam with you guys. You know what's going on. I already downloaded the instructions. I'm going to grab the start file. It's going to go in downloads, and then I'm going to individually download each of these. It'd be cool if they allowed you to download them in a zip, and then we got to unzip them, and that was a bit more of a file management lesson with zip technology. I'm sure most of you have encountered that. We're not going to deal with that in this class, but I am going to have to download each of these. There's another Excel file I'm downloading. And I chose not to do this before I started the video because I wanted you to see that you do have to download each one individually. And finally, a Word file. And then if we go into my downloads folder, you will see I have this nice collection of files that I've just downloaded having to do with this case. And I'm going to start by opening up, well, first I'm going to rename it like I always do. Rename, and then I'm going to open up the start file, and I will get to those support files when I get to them. Do not move them, do not rename them, do not do anything with them until you've turned in the case and gotten the best mark you can, and then you can get rid of them. So let's get started here. File is now open. Let's enable editing. As I commented last week, we are now starting to see files as we move forward in the course that have... What? Oh, because there's links in it. Yeah, that's fine. Continue. Yeah. Do what I just did if that comes up. That may or may not come up depending on your computer settings. This particular file does have links depending on your security settings, so don't mess with the links unless it tells you to. Just hit continue if you get that message. So moving on, as I mentioned, we will start to work with files now with multiple worksheets, not just one with the documentation sheet. And 99% of the time, they have you going right to the first worksheet. Let's see if that's the case here. So you are Elena, and you're an associate investment banker at Ballantine Investments, preparing a draft workbook that will be presented to shareholders. And you're going to import some data from other apps. You're going to add some other content, some images, stuff like that. Go to the Asset Management worksheet. We are on it. Asset Management. Change the formatting of cell D4 and the word art containing the worksheet title, Ballantine Investments, as follows to coordinate it with the rest of the worksheet. So you're trying to make things more consistent. So let's go to D4, which is right here. That does not look consistent. So you're going to apply the turquoise accent 1 shadow word art style to that cell. Just going to jump back here for 1 sec. I did notice that this case is, as we move forward in the cases and get deeper into the different textbooks we take the cases from, this one does expect a little more of you. It's giving you sort of a summarized explanation of what you're going to do and then breaking it into some different steps. So if we jump back to the spreadsheet, okay, we're here. I am in A1. Well, technically I'm in A1 if I just go to A1. There's a bunch of objects in here. So this is what's called word art. So when they're asking you to change the style of the word art, they're not asking you to go into the home tab and mess with these styles here. You would click on this, and once you click on it, you can see it's an object with a border around it, just like a chart. And then you have the format tab that comes up. You would insert clip art from the insert menu over here in the little clip art drop down. That's the word art one. This is word art. That's what this is. But if you click right on the object, you get the format tab, just like we have with charts when we're in the header footer menu, all these different things we've used in the first several weeks that when you click on them, the new tab comes up. When you click off them, the tab's not there anymore. That's what we're doing here. And we're going to word art style, going back here, turquoise accent 1 shadow, word art style. So click on the title. Geez, my alt tab is always... Click on the title itself, word art style, turquoise accent 1. There. And does it say shadow? Yeah. So it's the second one over. So hover over it. You can see what you're looking for. Click on it. That is changed now. That is your first step. Copy the formatting from cell A4 to D4. So somewhere along the way, somebody made a bunch of style. Now, this is probably actually just a style. It is accent 1. But instead of having to figure out which style it is, you can sit in the cell. You can copy. You can go here and paste formatting only. So paste values, paste formulas, transpose, formatting right there. I've done a lot of alternative copying and pasting with you where I'm doing values only, or that was formatting only. So you just had to go over until you got that option. So now moving on to step 2, the worksheet should list information about the asset management team, which is containing a web page. So you're going to open up the web page in a browser that you already downloaded. So this isn't a live site. It's an HTML document. That means that it will open in the browser, but it's not actually live on the web. So this is something you downloaded. Hopefully your default browser is Chrome, whatever it may be. You can open it up. It's right here. So mine opened up in Chrome. Cool. That looks like an Excel file, actually. Then if I go back to the instructions, next thing it says to do is in the asset management worksheet, import the data from the support EX19 team webpage, which I just opened. Into cell G12. Well, this is actually what I just opened was the EX19 7A team.html. So import the data from that web page into G12. Okay. So this is interesting because now I know why they probably made you open this. You could easily just copy and paste this data from the web source right into Excel and it would work quite well. That is not what this case is trying to teach you to do. You can pick and choose what you want to import from a web page and how to import it. So they want you to sit in G12 and go to import, which is under data, import. So there's a whole import section, get and transform data. They don't even call it import anymore. Get and transform data. So there's a variety of sources you can choose from under here. We are going from web because even though this is a local file, technically it's an HTML file, which will resolve on the World Wide Web. So we can click on web. And this is why it's handy to have opened this on your computer. So starting with the drive location, you don't need that file / stuff in front of it. You can copy the drive path from the file that you opened. And that's why they had you open it. And then you can put it in there as the URL. A URL it's a uniform resource locator. That doesn't necessarily mean it's live online on the web. It could be on your computer too. It's just a file address. So you click OK. Keep in mind we're sitting in G12, and this may take a second. My computer isn't the fastest. So it's visibly seeing what's in the HTML, and there is a table called Ballantine Asset Management, so you can click on that. And if you look at it in WebView, you can see all the formatting. Either way you look at it, you can go down here and choose to load or load to. If you just load directly, it will make it its own spreadsheet. If you load to, it will give you the option to put it in its own sheet, or it will give you the option to put it in the cell that you're sitting in, or another cell if you want to put another cell. So I'm actually in the wrong cell. I should be in G12, but I can fix that really easily right here. And if you happen to be sitting in G12, which is the correct cell, and you're going to change it right after, so I'm not sure they're ever going to notice that anyway, but that's where you're supposed to bring it in. So now it's getting the data, and it put in a table of data here that actually has Excel functionality in the table. So it's already an Excel table, which is something we're going to start with right after test one. So we don't need to get too into tables right now. And so it took this and brought it into your sheet without you having to copy and paste it, which technically may have worked. I don't know if Sam would have marked that right or not. And then once you get it in there, it wants you to format the imported table. So you're in G12 to M19 as turquoise. So this is once again another thing in Excel where you have this new object in your spreadsheet, and it comes up with these two tabs. One because it's actually a query from the web, and the other one that has to do with the table design. And you can then switch. If we go back here, no, we're going to here to the instructions to turquoise table light 9. So sitting on the table, as soon as I click off it, you see I lose those tabs. Click back in the table. I have the tabs, table styles, turquoise, table style. Okay, that was a lucky pick. So it's 3 over 1, 2 down. Turquoise table style light 9. Table style light 9. And remove the external connection if prompted. It has not prompted me to do that. So let's move on to the next step. If you are prompted, just do it. In the imported table, change some data to reflect. Delete the row for employee 520 because Chad is no longer with Ballantine Investments. So go to 520. And I mean, really, there's nothing you can delete. There's not really like a, there's no duplicates in there. There's not really a remove row. You can right click and just delete it. Table rows. You could also alternatively, because there's nothing else in the spreadsheet there, you could highlight 19 and delete the whole row. The correct way to do it is to do it that way. Then find the text financial advisor. So you can use Control F and find it and replace it with investments. This may occur more than once. So sitting anywhere in the spreadsheet, technically, it wouldn't matter if you're in the table or not. If you hit Control F, or if you just go here to replace, and we're looking for financial advisor. I don't know if that's with capitals or not. I can't remember what was there. It has a capital F and a small a. I'm not sure that would actually be case sensitive. I doubt it would be. It will replace it case sensitive, but otherwise it will find the letters. We are replacing that with investments. Financial advisor is being replaced with investments. Spell this right, or you will get these wrong. Replace all. There was only one replacement. We could have just done that manually, but I was just being thorough and making sure that we didn't miss any. So that's kind of a review from something from week 1. We're just cleaning up the data a little bit. Now, Elena wants to list the team information in the range A5 to E10. The web page table that we took out of the web page separated the first and last names, but Elena wants to list the full name on the asset management worksheet together. So list the first and last names of each of the team contact member in a single cell as follows. So this is a cool function. It allows you to pick up stuff from different cells and piece it all together into one cell. And you can use each text field to create spaces, dashes, whatever you want to do. So you may not be sure. I mean, if you went to the formulas tab, like we learned a couple weeks ago, you're probably going to be able to figure out that this is under the text area, and it's right there down there. If you do it that way, then it brings the function wizard up immediately. You could also, of course, do the way, which might save you time, do it that way, double click, get the function in, then hit the FX to pull the function wizard up. So what it wants you to do, if we go back to the instructions, is use the name in H13, then put a space in, and then use the contents of I13. Forget what's in there. Use the contents. It could be a name. It could be something else. So we will go back to the worksheet, and we're going to first enter H13. Then it wants a space. Now, we learned earlier in a case, if we just want a space or blank text, you just do a double quote. So quote, quote. Don't start adding a bunch of quotes. You just need the one space. Then for here, we pick up the last name. So that's the entire function. You're just picking up the pieces to put into a cell all as one. And when we click OK, we get the name without a space, because I did that on purpose. You actually need a space in between the quotes to get the space. Hence, what I was talking about in the first case when we used just the double quotes to insert a blank. If you want a space, you have to put a space in between them. That's very easy to fix. We can just go back in here, go in between the quotes, add the space, click OK. Now we have the first and last name with a space in between. I actually did do that on purpose. I wanted you guys to see what was going on there. So once you do that once, you can copy that through just like any other function. So these text-based functions are actually really simple to use. And once, as I've been saying all these weeks, it's not about things that are complicated or difficult. It's about just knowing that you can even do it. So that's one of the reasons I picked this case too. There's a lot of basic stuff that people don't get into too much. Fill the range A6 to A10. The remaining names. That is done. Pretty cool, eh? Now, incorporate the imported data into the range B5 to E10 and do it like this. So a lot of these steps on these cases have you moving something from one place to another or importing something, but you're going to do a bunch of stuff to it as you're doing it. So copy the position data from J13 to J18 and paste only the values in B5 to B10. We know how to do this. We've been doing this since week 1. I've been showing you how to paste values only with no formatting. So go over to J13 to 18, copy. Go in here into position. Highlight the cells, right click after you highlight the cells, and then go here, values only. So we don't bring in any formatting, we don't bring in anything that would kind of sloppy it up. And that's it for that step. In cell C5, enter a formula using the proper function to capitalize the first letter in each word. That's all the proper function does. It's pretty cool. And you're going to do that for K13. So go to cell C5. And we can just, that's going to be in the text menu, of course. But we can do it from here, equals proper. We can double click. I mean, this is a single input one. You don't really have to bring up the function wizard, but if you do, when you're sitting in it, it will tell you all about it down here. That's why I love the function wizard. It explains what you're doing for that input. And for that, we want K13. And you can see that is not capitalized, but the proper function will capitalize the first word of each letter. And then we can scroll down. Very simple functions and very handy because that's better formatting, guys. I mean, you don't want to go into a meeting with something that shows the small letters. It's just sloppy. It's not right. So years experience, we are going to bring in by doing, and they deliberately had this data come out of the HTML web file in a way that you'd need to use all these functions. That's, again, why I liked this case when I was going through the cases. In D5, enter a formula using the left function to insert the first two characters on the left side, on the left of the cell L13. Copy the formula down. Okay, so go to D5, equals left. You can pull it up from the text to start your bracket, go to the FX. Okay, so the text is coming from, freaking Alt-Tab. Come on, Alt-Tab. Keep up with me. L13. So the text is coming from L13, which is all the way over here. And you can see there, 12 years, 10 years, 10 years, 8 years. We don't need space years. But every cell has a situation where, you know, you get the, I guess the first two characters are going to work for the single digit numbers too. So we choose, see what I did there? The first two characters of that cell. Then we go down and we've got all the numbers. So these would have a space in there. But it doesn't matter. It's the result of the function. It's checking for the function. Keep in mind, Sam is always checking in the formula bar for the function if you were told to put a function in there. You're not going to be able to just paste or type that stuff in. And frankly, I think once you do this, you're going to, like the next one's going to be faster if you use the function. Inner formula using right for the two characters on the right side, starting with M13. So we're going to go over here, equals right. Then we're going to go all the way over to M, and we're going to pick up the city, or we're going to pick up the state from the far right side, but nothing else. And all of those states are abbreviated with 2 letters, so we go 2. We scroll down, and we just learned a big pile of text-based functions. That was kind of cool. Resize columns A to D to their best fit. Resize columns. So we're going to have some stuff like this on the test. We're going to be doing column width and height. There's a couple other kind of basic formatting things. There's not going to be a bunch of the functions we just did probably aren't going to be on the test, but some basic stuff like this I did want to get in there. Columns A to D best fit. So very easily you can grab a column like this and drag it out to a certain amount of points or pixels. And if you're on a Mac, you might have to convert that. So keep an eye on that. But I believe any Macs with a newer operating system would have the units of measurement that you need. So when it says A to D best fit, you can do those all at once. You can highlight A over to D by highlighting the full letters. If you double click on the border of the last one you highlighted, that will best fit all of them. You can also from the Home tab. And I remember kind of brushing on this in week 1 and 2 and saying we deal with this later. Auto fit column width. The double clicking method, which definitely works. You can see if this was dragged way out here and I wanted to best fit it to the longest thing in that range, I just double click and it goes. If you have word art in there, that does change the way it works. So to auto fit, and that's probably why they put this in this case, to auto fit A to D, highlight the columns, go to format, go to auto fit. And that's always the best way to do it with SAM too. You don't want to have anything kind of weird going on because you slipped your mouse. To complete part F of step 5, we auto fit A to D. And if you see me a little later in the video screwing around with column G, just know that's because I had to go back and fix this part because I totally just breezed right over these steps here. And I'm inserting this now to show you that you don't want to miss that. You'll only get 1 point off, but still, I want to show you guys how to get 100. So you're going to specifically, you're not going to auto fit E to F. You're going to go to them, highlight E and F, go to format column width, and specifically change it to 7. That is done. And then size 21 for column G. So you'll see my column G got a little screwy when I did the web import, and that might happen to yours in different ways. But once you're done with all that and you get to that part, not AutoSum, you get to that part in step 5, you'll go to column width for G and change that one to 21. And as long as you set those widths the way they should be, I need you to ignore when I get into the next step that I'm then auto-fitting column G. Do not auto-fit column G. Leave column G at size 21. Okay, I'll even make a note in the video about that. And then you'll have 100% on to part G. Okay, and that was step F5. Hide rows 12 to 18. Hiding rows is something I might throw on the test as well. It's a simple enough thing. Very easy to do. Highlight 12, go down to 18, right click, hide. Now, why are we hiding that? Well, the idea was that we'd bring the data in, and by bringing the data in, we had all this stuff to work with, But instead of getting rid of the data completely and just going to text, then Sam couldn't grade all these functions. We're just going to leave the text in there and hide it, just like we did. Highlight the row numbers and right-click hide. Moving on to step 6. Elena already imported data summarizing the performance of the Asset Management Performance Summary worksheet, but she wants to display the data in the range G5 to H8 of the Asset Management worksheet. She asks you to switch the rows and columns when you insert the data to fit it in the range G5 to H8. So go to the Performance Summary worksheet, copy the data into range A1 to D2, and then you're going to use something called transpose. So this is a very simple way to cut and paste, but flip from rows to columns. It's pretty cool. So let's check it out. So here I'm on Asset Management. There's nothing in here. And if we go over to Performance Summary, you could see there's a list of headings and some data. So copy all that, A1 to D2, which is what it said to do. So just copy it. Go back over here. And now sitting here, and you can highlight these because that's the same amount of cells you're going to put it into. You go here and you choose to transpose, and it takes the cells that were done horizontally and puts them vertically, and the same thing for the data. I'm shocked we haven't done that up to this point. I used to teach that in the earlier weeks. It's a cool way to move from rows to columns. So that is now done in the Asset Management worksheet. Insert and format a picture. So at this point, does it get into G5? Because I noticed when I inserted this stuff from the web, and this is a common issue, and I don't think Sam would have marked it wrong, but if you scroll down, you could see they have that width of column G nice and big to fit all that stuff. And you noticed in our sheet, it's cutting it off a little bit. So we can use that auto fit that I showed you where you double click and it will make it big enough to fit everything. And then it looks pretty much like the picture. And then we don't have to worry about that. So we can move on to step 7. Now, again, I don't think it would have marked it wrong. We've talked about that a few times where if Sam doesn't say you have to do something, it's probably not marking it. And it's just the way my system settings were when I imported that stuff from the web. It kind of readjusted the column G there. But I fixed it anyway, just to be safe. And you can do the same thing if yours looks like that. If the column width is still fine, don't worry about it. Number 7, in the Asset Management worksheet, insert and format a picture. So, well, insert a picture. We've done this in Microsoft Word, right? Yes. And of course, you can also do it in Excel. So insert the picture, support EX197A group JPEG. So we're still working on the Asset Management worksheet. We're going to be sitting wherever. It doesn't really matter where. It doesn't say to go anywhere either. So you could still be sitting in the same place. And when you go to insert and you go to pictures, and we did one of these on the quiz at the beginning of the semester too. So mine are in downloads. That's where I put everything. Notice that all the names will be, oh, yeah, this isn't in the same order. Oh, that's annoying. Give me 1 second here. Oh, no, it's there for today. Yeah. I have mine sorted by date. So insert. Picture shows up. Yeah, it's over top of stuff. Don't worry about that. You're going to be able to move it around just like when we were inserting charts. So, and my guess is it's going to do the upper left and the lower right like it always does. So we got this. We got really good at this last week with charts. Remember, do not touch the grid lines. Okay, upper left corner is in G19. Have it in the white space of G19. That's what Sam wants. It doesn't want to question whether or not it's in there or not. 19 is there. So get it into the white space. Get the lower right into J36. So I'm going to zoom down a bit with my zoom handle there. Gonna scroll over. So this should be J36. That doesn't make a ton of sense. Well, yeah, it does actually. Because by the time I shrink it up to row 36, it will be small enough. Is that right? Always check your row. Yeah, in the white space. Yeah, that looks good. Right on. As I commented last week, you don't really need to use the side handlebars in the middle of the top and bottom handlebars or the upper right and lower left. As long as you position correctly the upper left, you don't even have to adjust that one, and then you just always adjust with the lower right to get it into the right place, and we're good. So inserting a picture, that was no big deal. Wait a second. You can do more stuff to it. Of course you can. Add a border to the picture using Teal Accent 6. So how do I get picture borders? I don't see anything up here. Picture borders. Just like the chart. Just like the word art. Just like when we were in header footer. Click into the thing and you'll get your toolbar for it. Okay, lots of borders here. We're going to go with... Oh, it just says add a colored border. So it doesn't say which border. So picture border, teal, turquoise, blue, where's teal? Dark teal, okay. What's this one? Turquoise, where the... One of these is teal, under theme colors and picture border. Add a border to the picture using Teal Accent 6 as the border color to coordinate the picture with the rest of the worksheet. Teal Accent 6. Dark teal. Well, this is interesting. So I'm going to go with, you know, it's funny because some of these publishers, although I keep thinking teal's more of a green though. Ha! Teal, there it is. It's all the way to the right. See, some of the publishers are really nice about telling you, and again, in the real world, you wouldn't be screwing around with this so much, but I should have, it did make it clear in the instructions. It did say, coordinate the picture with the rest of the worksheet. Looking at the rest of the worksheet, I can see that background is teal. And if I kind of look for a color that matches that, it's over here. So Teal Accent 6 for border color. And that's it. We're not going to do any percentage ratings like these other ones. So it's just straight up Teal Accent 6. That's the border color. Then I'm going to apply a picture effect, and then you'll be able to see it a little more. So offset center from the outer section of the shadow gallery. So picture effects, shadow, outer, offset center. So offset bottom right, offset bottom. Offset right, offset top right, offset center. It's right in the middle there. And now we've got this nice little sort of shaded shadow effect with Teal Accent 6. And it's always nicer to do a little something to the outside of a picture. I mean, don't just drop it in there. Like, look, when I click off it, look how much better that looks. Like, that's a lot cleaner. It looks more professional. Looks like a flyer or something that somebody would have done with desktop publishing, and you're working in Excel, and I think that's kind of cool. Add a caption to identify the picture as follows. In H37, insert a text box. So text boxes are the same as they are in PowerPoint to a degree. They're just an area where you can type as if it's a page in Word. And that enables you to get outside of the restricted area of a single cell and have a full box typed right over top of that area of a spreadsheet. So go to H37, insert a text box. I mean, you can insert the text box and put it wherever you want after, but if we just go to H37, I think that will make Sam happy because we'll be putting it in right there. So if you go to insert and you go all the way over to the right here, you'll see text box. Draw a text box anywhere. So once you click on it, nothing happens. This is a common thing in Excel when you're using a tool that allows you to place it or draw it somewhere. From the point after you click on it, you're going to insert a text box from the basic shapes section of the shapes gallery. That's not where I inserted it right from the, yeah, I guess if you want to have to do it from there. So basic shapes, text box is the first option. Basic shapes here, text box is the next option there. It should be the same exact thing. So we're going to insert, go back to H37. Basic shapes gallery, text box from right here. Same icon as doing it from there, right? It's the same thing. It's just two different ways to do something. I'm more a creature of habit, and I usually do it from there, but it can be done from the shapes menu, which they're probably trying to get you to go into because there's so many different other things you can do in there, and click and start to draw it, right? And then in that box, you can draw it out. It doesn't really specify exactly how big it, there we go. Resize the text. Yeah, so it does tell you there. Asset management team at work. I would copy and paste that. I'm trying to encourage you guys not to get typos on the test. So just copy, go in here, paste into the text box. It will take the formatting. So instead of taking the formatting, I would right click and choose the option to keep text only because it did not say, and don't hit enter, don't hit spaces. It's just like the title box and charts that we did last week. It's just like that. Resize the text box to display the entire caption. So it probably assumed we made it a little smaller, which I did not. And move the text box so that it is centered below the picture in the range G37 to J38. So you don't need this extra height. You can just kind of build the box. Nope, see how I lost it there and it didn't fit on one line? Make it just big enough to fit on one line, just tall enough to fit the language, and then put language. Put that in about the center, which it looks like I is the center. You know, you're going to be able to ballpark this, and I'm sure Sam is going to mark it right. And again, if this is one of those steps where if you scroll down and kind of take a look at the picture and what they're looking for, see, they have it pushed down a little bit further away from the picture. So let's get it kind of out of the shadow range, and that should be about good. And that's something that Sam will not be too picky on. It'll just have to be in that general area. We'll see what happens when I get it marked. And moving on. So not a difficult case, but lots of tedious steps in this one. And that's one of the reasons I really like to get into it before the test. It's a bit longer and the test is a bit longer. So I want you guys to be prepared for that. Step number 9, organizational charts. These are great. I've used them in Word a ton and in PowerPoint. Elena wants to provide an organizational chart. So these are tools in Microsoft that they pretty much build into the entire suite, and then they work across all the apps. Insert an organizational chart from the SmartArt hierarchy section of the SmartArt gallery. Move and resize the SmartArt so that the upper left is A19. That's it. You're literally just inserting it and putting the left and right corners in the right place. So, and we are still on the same spreadsheet. So go back, sit wherever. It doesn't really matter. Go insert. Okay, we're going to go to SmartArt. And once we get into SmartArt, we will choose the required item, put it in, and then, so SmartArt, depending on your menu settings and your resolution, I think it's always going to be an icon. I don't think you're ever going to have a big enough menu where it says SmartArt. So you go in here, and you go to the hierarchy section. There's lots of different cool stuff you can do in here. Go to hierarchy, and you're choosing organizational chart, which is the first one right there, organization chart. That's picture organization chart. So you can have like people's faces in there, headshots, name and title. There's all like, this is awesome stuff. And it's like, oh, wow. Who would have thought you would go to the trouble of making all that when in fact you can just click on it and click OK and it builds it for you. And it builds it with the general theme of the worksheet, which is cool. Move and resize the SmartArt so that the upper left corner is A19. So grab the border, just like the charts. Same thing. A19. So get the handlebar, get the circle part in A19. You might want to drag it over a little bit more so it's not touching the picture. As you can see, we have more room. So you can be A19. I was still in B because I hadn't scrolled back over on the sheet yet. Don't touch the grid lines. Lower right is in D36. So we're down in D already. Just drag down to 36. You can drag it over a little bit more. Get it into D36. And that is it for step 9. Now we're going to put some text in there. Enter Fry in the top space. Cool. Double click on it. It's just like the chart titles. Fry. It's a lot of the same stuff. We're just doing it in different ways. Montgomery in the second shape. That's a little bit longer. Montgomery, and it kind of resizes for you, which is really cool. Montgomery. And down in the add a shape after Montgomery shape, so it appears to the right. So we're going to add a shape. So best way to do that is to right click on the shape you're already on and there's an option to add shape. You should be, as usual, there's a whole thing up here with, see, there's add shape right there in the top. I'm going to do it. I love right clicking. So just add shape after, and it should put it right to the, in sequence, right? In terms of how a hierarchical, what am I doing? Who's still listening to me? So just do what I do. And in that one, you'll enter the text Montgomery again. No, enter the text Garcia into the new shape to the right. So Garcia, enter text. So I'm not being able to do it. So I go edit text Garcia, because there wasn't text already in there. So all I had to do is right click. I got the option to edit text. And then the bottom three, Latimer, spell them right, Gao and Kraus. So 2 T's, Latimer, Kraus. I used to have a 5th grade teacher named Mr. Kraus. He was a pretty good basketball player too. He was our basketball coach. Oh, there, good. They give you, yeah, it should look like that. Does it? Sure does. Looks good to me. Add a caption to identify the smart art as follows. In cell B37, insert a text box. So we're going to do, it's a lot of that repeat stuff like we did before. So when we did the text box up here, we're going to do the same thing. So it says in B37, insert a text box from the basic shape section of the gallery and enter org chart with a small c. I love that they're still doing this crap to you guys in later in the textbook. This would be a halfway through the semester thing from this textbook. So in B37. So you can sit in B37 and you don't have to do it from here. I don't know why they're insisting that you do it from here. Probably to remind you that there's all these other cool shapes in there. Okay, draw a quick text box. Doesn't matter the size. We'll figure that out later. Go org chart with a small c. And then we're going to resize that. So org chart text box with the top of the asset management text box in row 37. Resize the text box to display the entire caption and align the top of the org chart text box with the top. So they want you to line it up with this. So ish in the middle. And I mean, I made that box too big. It needs to be smaller. Not so small, it goes on at 2 lines. Yeah, that's about it. I got it right over that line, that grid line. Scroll down, see if it looks close enough. This is one of those close enough. Yeah, that's about right. They have actually a little off center to the left. Who the hell did that? Jeez. All right, so we're building. This is cool. I mean, we're building this looks pretty professional. And we're moving on to the next step. Almost done. Getting close. It's kind of a long one here. Hide the grid lines. We did this in week 1. There's a couple places you can do that from in case it comes up on the test. Hide the grid lines. We are going to, under view, you can turn them off. It's also under page layout. You can turn them off. Either one. That was step 12. Step 13. Elena wants to include the company slogan and a standard disclaimer about Ballantine Investment Services on the asset management worksheet. She has this information stored in a PowerPoint presentation. Open up the PowerPoint presentation. Let's go do that. So I have this in my downloads folder with all the other files that I downloaded together. Open that up. Oh, enable editing. In Excel, use the screen clipping tool to paste a screenshot of only the slogan and disclaimer into the asset management worksheet. Position the upper left corner of the screenshot image into cell B40. So this is, I think Command is, or Macs are Command Shift. There's a way to do this on Macs with the keyboard shortcut. There's usually a screen print key on a PC. I love the snipping tool in Windows, but now there's the snipping tool. In Excel, on the insert menu, which we've been using a lot in this case, there is this little icon right here. So you can actually, I wish I had, I'd have to go back to some of my videos to see if that was there with Office 2016. I don't know if it was there before 2019 and 365. It's a neat little tool. I mean, you could do screen clipping other ways. It's just taking a screenshot. Let's go here, choose the window. And then it takes the whole window. So if you go in here and you go to screen clipping, take a quick snapshot part of your screen and add it to your document. So grab this and just grab that part. So it had to be the first window, right, in the available windows for that to work. That's all. So it should have been the last thing you had open. And then it should revert to that when you go to screen clipping. See? Yeah. Okay, good. All right, so we figured that out. Or you could just use the snipping tool, and I'm sure Sam would never know the difference. It just wouldn't. Same thing on a Mac. If you use the Command-Shift-4, I believe, it allows you to resize what you're snipping. I think just Command-4 prints the whole screen. So in case that icon isn't available on a Mac, I'm still a bit foggy on why there's a separate Mac case. I was told it was because of 2 or 3 menu items. That might be one of them. So if I go back to the Word file, once I have it, position the upper left corner in B40. So I've lost my grid lines, no big deal. I can just highlight the row, and it's already in B40 actually. Got lucky there. Let's pull it off the grid lines just a tiny bit and kind of have it more in the middle of B40. That's about right to me. And we're good. Let's move on. Step number 14. Go to the Client Investment Tracker worksheet, which Elena asks you to finish. The worksheet shows the sample data for the fictional client. To illustrate the type of information it provides, Elena inserted the data into A20C28 as a link to another worksheet. Complete the sample data and break the links. So go to Client Investment Tracker. In cell B29, use the quick analysis tool to insert the total investment amount. I don't know why they're telling you to use the quick analysis tool for it. So I'm on the Client Investment Tracker worksheet. I scroll down because I'm supposed to be down in B29, use the quick analysis tool to sum. So, I mean, this is just auto summing this, but there is another way to do that. We had this on that quiz in week 2. You highlight the range and then you get the quick analysis tool. Every time this comes up, so I'm referring to any time that box comes up as quick analysis, which I technically believe it is. This is truly the quick analysis tool because it allows you to analyze the data. If we go to totals and choose sum, it puts an auto sum in there without us having to sit in there and choose to auto sum it. And it's asking us to confirm that it is the same total that happens to be or the same number, sorry, that happens to be in D28, which it is. So that was easy. Use the quick analysis tool to create a conditional formatting rule that adds solid fill blue data bars to the range. So we've done data bars, no big deal at all. Data bars just give you a visual representation of where the data sits against the other pieces of data within that range. They're another version of mini charts like I talked about, but from conditional formatting, except to do it this time, we're going to use the quick analysis tool, which again, I don't know if Sam's going to know if you used it or not, but here we go. So highlight the range. As soon as you do, quick analysis tool comes up. Data bars is right there under formatting for your first option. Now, it just so happens that the default setting will give you, and that's my completed file, I was just checking. The default setting will give you solid fill blue. But if it didn't, after you use the quick analysis tool to put in these data bars, you could have then highlighted them, gone to the home tab, gone to conditional formatting, and actually done chose the right color. But you didn't have to do that because it was the color that it gave you by default. Now break the link to the support file, the workbook, because so here's what's going on here right now. What they mean by that is that some of this data, if you look at the formula bar when I click on it, is linked to another file somewhere. And the data is brought in from that file so that there's no confusing what the numbers are supposed to be. And once you have the data in an Excel file and it's all set up that way, you can simply break that link and it will automatically just put the numbers in there. So if you look at the formula bar, you see this is linked to an external file. So if you go to data, there is an option to edit links. And if you go to edit links, you can see that this is the only link there. And if you sit on it and go break link, it will break links and the link is gone, and you close and it doesn't look like anything has changed, but Sam is going to be checking that you did that. So it will know. So again, that was under edit links, break links, break links. Click on the link, then break link, then choose the box to break the link. And now we are getting close to the end here. Elena wants to show the total amount of invested compared to the total value during the 8 months. So, hey, you know what? We did charts last week. I thought that went pretty well. I didn't feel like we did enough charts, so let's do another one. We're going to do a clustered column chart here, and we're going to base it on the non-adjacent data, A20 to A28, and C20 to C28. So already, and D20 to D28, because it's a clustered column. Already they're telling you that they'd rather you pick up the data first. And then you insert the first chart type Excel recommends, which is clustered column line chart. So A20 to A28. So we go A20 down to 28. Then C20 is, so we could use the name box for this too, as I've shown you, but I'm going to use the control key. So I'm holding on the control key. I'm grabbing the next one. I'm alt-tabbing to go back, no problem. I don't lose my selections by doing that. D20 to D28. Now I'm holding on the control key again, and I go D20 to D20. Well, okay, I could have highlighted those two together. And insert the first type. So insert, we did this last week. Insert recommended charts. This should be the type they want. Click insert, throws it right in the middle of the page like it always does. I'm sure it's going to give me an upper left and a lower right. Move the chart so its upper left is in A5. Get it in the white space. Lower right is in F19. So over to F, up to 19. So it's kind of right above that other stuff. Not touching, don't touch it. We don't need Sam marking it wrong. Remove the chart title because the legend identifies the data clearly enough. So this time we don't have to get a typo in the chart title. We can just remove it. Or if you get chart titles on the test, copy and paste the text they give you. And moving on to the last few steps here, Elena wants to make sure that people reviewing the worksheet understand it displays sample data. Add a shape to the worksheet as follows. To provide this information, in cell E30, insert a callout line shape from the callouts section of the shapes gallery. So go to E30, which is down here. Go to insert, go to shapes, go to the callout section. And which callout are we using? Line. Oh, shit. Shoot. Don't swear anyway. Call out line. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over. Call out bent line. Neat. So call out line. It gives me this little cool looking cursor, and I can draw this thing out. Okay, now that's going to point to somewhere. Move the call out line so that it points to the bottom of the total invested column. Total invested column, the bottom. Okay, so we got to scroll back down. They're talking about this. Like, so just see this line here? You're going to be able to just grab an end of that with your mouse and hold the click down and just get it ish. I mean, you know, check the picture again, because this is a lot of like, yeah, it's pointing to the around the 3, and then the box is a little further to the right. It's over. Yeah, that's about right. And then in the box, we're going to click on the box, right? Well, click. Oh yeah, click right in the box. Just click in the box and you'll be able to add text. Right clicking was not necessary. And once we click in the box, we're going to type sample. I'm just going to copy and paste this because why would I not? And I don't pick up any extra spaces. Paste right in there when I go over. Oh, hang on. Keep text only. Don't see, it didn't take the bold then. And then do I need to resize that box at all? It doesn't say to do anything to the box, so don't. Just apply the subtle effect turquoise accent 1 shape style to the call it shape. So as soon as I click off it, I'm not sure where to find that. Once again, click on this. Don't move it around. Click on that. And then under here, I'll have word art styles, shape fill, shape effects, shape styles. So shape style I am using is the subtle effect turquoise accent 1. So presets subtle effect turquoise accent 3. It's right there. Subtle effect turquoise accent 1. So it's 2 columns over, 4 down. Pick it, done. And next step. Elena wants to format the column chart. You know what? This has been quite a case with a bunch of little stuff, and I have not saved once. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to hit Control S right now because I don't want to lose any of that. And I only got a couple steps left. So modify the column chart. So switch rows and columns so that the chart compares the total value and the total invested by months 1 to 8. Let's go and do that. So click on that chart, which is this chart here. And we definitely covered this last week, even though we didn't have to do this to any of our charts. Go to the Design tab, switch row and column data. So we're flipping it the way it wants it. Apply the ice blue background to the plot area. Remember last week how I kept talking about how you can do different shape fills to different areas? So click not on the entire chart, but on the plot area itself. So it surrounds that box. And don't keep clicking. If you keep clicking, you might click some of the bars. So click the plot area, then go to Format and go to Shape Fill. And we're going with Ice Blue Background 2. Shape Fill, Ice Blue, Turquoise, Ice Blue Background 2. It's right there. It's 3 over, top. Ice blue background 2, which does kind of look like a gray with a teeny tiny bit of blue in it. Then apply offset bottom right shape effect to the outer section of the shadow gallery to the legend, not to the whole thing, not to the plot area, just to the legend. So click on the legend and then go to shape effects. So this, I really liked this case because it added to what we learned last week with a few things we didn't get to, right? So, and we're going into the category offset bottom right, shadow, offset. Offset bottom right. Oh, it says right there from the outer section of the shadow legend. It's amazing how quickly your brain. So we're on the legend, shape effects, shadow, outer. It's the first one probably. Yeah, offset bottom right there. See, and then it gives it that, it just gives it more texture, right? It just looks more professional. And that's it. We're on the final step. Elena wants to add one more element of visual interest. And remember how I talked about at the beginning of the course, Excel isn't just about crunching numbers. It's also a very good presentation tool. So we've done a lot of that here in this particular case. One more element of visual interest on the worksheet, insert an online picture using investments as the search text. So this is a cool thing showing you that Microsoft has a lot of things available. Select the first picture in the search results. So they are expecting you to do a certain one. Delete the text box underneath with the attribution. So insert an online picture, investments, and then reposition upper left G1, bottom right K13. So So sitting anywhere, doesn't really matter where. You could probably, I moved the chart a bit, undo that. Probably click off the chart, go to Insert, go to Online Pictures. See how before we inserted a picture from a file here on our computer? Online Pictures. We're all about Bing here. Investment or investments? Investments. And if we scroll down, we can confirm that the picture we see there is the same as, no, it's not the same. But do I have to have that checked? You know, it might not be the same anymore, but it says pick the first picture. So I'm glad I'm making a reference to that picture in case that's, Did they say anything else about it? I'm sure we're going to be fine with that. I haven't run this through for grading, but I did run my initial one through, and it was a different picture from the summer. Inserted online pictures and investments. Select the first picture in the search results. Delete the text box. Reposition the picture. G1 upper, K13 bottom. I don't think it's going to be reading the content of the picture, so we are going to select the first one in there. We're not going to worry about the Creative Commons license. It's going to drop it in the middle there. We're obviously going to need it a lot smaller, so we can start, reduce our zoom again. Ooh, not that much. Okay. Let's bring, what the heck? That's the text box. I just grabbed onto the text box, which I'm supposed to delete, so get rid of that. Oops, nope, I got rid of the whole picture. Undo. So let's bring it smaller. Let's move the whole thing up to G1, K13. So G1 and then K13, which is here. I'm way zoomed out here. Let's. Okay, G1, we're going to have to drag straight down because it wants it in K13. We're resizing a bit here. And then you could see once I did that, I kind of left the text box sort of sitting on its own here. And it opened up the source of the photo, which is kind of cool. But I'm going to click on that one and delete it because it said so. And that is the final instruction. I feel like this one might not be a hundo P, but we're about to find out because I got every single step done the way it said so. And even though the picture down here is not the same picture that Microsoft currently has as the first option, it is still the first option, and that's what it told us to pick. So let us go and close our file, and when we close it, it will prompt us to save any other changes we made, and then we'll upload it. Back on the submission screen here, keep in mind you don't need to do anything with those start files other than not mess with the names of them. And I'm going to submit my file. Now, I will admit to you now, I had already submitted it once and I realized I missed a very small little portion of step 7. I ended up with a 99, so I'm going to fix that part of the video at the end here and then insert it where it needs to go. So you guys will have the full 100% experience. 100 out of 100. There you go. The one small little tiny thing I did my first recording around was resizing the columns. But I will be fixing that right now, inserting it into that portion of the video, so every single step you will see will have been your path to earning 100% as per usual. We got a test next week. Start getting ready for it. I will be posting a test prep video soon after this one, so you'll want to watch that to prepare. I will see you soon.